Get ready to stand on guard for the
Prohibition is over, Saskatchewan. Ask Lucky Bastard today how you can make Canada's ultimate Caesar, true north and strong. Featuring Lucky Bastard's premium dill pickle vodka, LB's famous bacon rimmer, and bacon bitters. It's not a Caesar if it's not Lucky Bastard. Order online or stop by 814 47th Street East. And tonight, why not mix your Caesar with some Lucky Bastard?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast, a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network and the official podcast of Left Wing Lock, your number one source for fantasy hockey intelligence. I'm Devin Davidson, your host. With me, as always, Bruce Gunther.
Hello.
John Enns.
Hello.
And back for more, Tyler Homan.
Hi there.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. As you guys know, I won my 6th fantasy championship in 9 years, so I'm feeling quite good about life right now.
Anyways, what's next?
I know we said off air we were going to talk about it, but I had to bring it up.
Of course.
Yep. Hey, Tyler, look at it this way. At least now it's just me harassing you
I don't
about
want
it, and not Buddy on your hockey team.
I mean,
Right.
I guess. But I really feel like if I wouldn't have been in Hawaii, I would have had a better chance.
Yeah, potentially.
I haven't opened it up since I was in Hawaii, so
Well, I'll tell you this.
should I say that?
No, that's okay. You were done. I think most people, when they're done, they just lose the app.
Stop.
I did set an all-time high for myself in a single matchup, 423 points. So that was pretty good.
It was 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that was
It
almost 2 weeks.
It was 10 days. 10 days. 10 days. Calm down. Anyway,
You should
episode 110 playoff preview should be a fun one. Before we get too far along here, I just want to mention that we are a proud partner of Lucky Bastard Distillers, which opened in 2012 and was inspired from a lottery win. And Lucky Bastard Distillers is proud to be the first distillery to operate in Saskatoon since Prohibition. Home of Canada's Ultimate Caesar. Mix your drink tonight with Lucky Bastard. Use promo code HockeyHacks to get 15% off your next online order. Shipping available across Canada. So tonight we're going to do a quick run through each of the series, provide our predictions for each series, and maybe talk about a few players that you want to take a look at for your playoff pools. Before we get into that, though, we're still going to continue with John's list and our fantasy lock of the week. So, John, you're here. I'm not even sure if you agree with this, but what do you think?
I do. I put facts after that one. So, this week's member of the list is basically the Golden Knights, Mark Stone, cap circumvention, the whole thing. I just don't like cap circumvention at all. Looking at you two, Tampa. Don't like it.
Yeah, it felt like this sort of happened more organically in the past. Like I wasn't quite so annoyed when it happened with Chicago years back.
Yeah.
But then Tampa did it, and then Tampa did it again, and now Vegas has just done it every single year.
Yeah.
So I'm over it. Like I understand it's a part of the CBA, but at a certain point, like you just look like a bunch of morons when you do this every single spring.
Yep.
And Tyler, I don't know if you know or Bruce, but are they like $9 million over the cap right now?
Well, season's over, the cap doesn't matter anymore.
I'm aware of that, yes. But I'm just saying, like, their cap hit is not anywhere close to what it should be.
Well, let's take a look here.
It's okay. They're going to lose in the first round anyways.
Yeah, actually, okay, so we'll get to that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, here. So Vegas Knights are $13.9 million into LTIR. You want to hear something funny? Montreal is 13.3 into LTIR.
Oh, nice.
And they're a lottery team.
Maybe it's not that relevant, Bruce, but I still don't like it. And I've never been a fan of Vegas, so.
Vegas has got 5 goalies.
They do. Well, and that could be their downfall.
It's goalie roulette. Just spin the wheel and see which goalie starts.
That's kind of how it feels right now.
I'm waiting for Robin Leonard to start a game yet. Playoff time, he could start. You never know.
Maybe if they get far enough into it, you never know. Before we get into that series, though, because I think that'll be a fun one to talk about, let's talk about our fantasy lock of the week. The Edmonton Oilers power play, an all-time best, 32.4%. I loved that the Edmonton Oilers gave Glenn Gulletson the game vest at the end of that for being the guy that runs the power play.
So
Not that we should
that's number one all time now, right?
all time. The Edmonton Oilers have the absolute best power play all time.
Yikes.
And
That's something.
yeah, and to make things better, they've actually been a competent 5-on-5 team here in the second half.
Yeah.
So I was actually talking about this with a couple of guys at work. 18-2-1 since the trade deadline. And those two losses were basically just due to shit performances from Campbell and Skinner. Like they could have basically run the table in the last 22 games.
So basically, they've been in a much improved team since they got rid of the Bison King.
Basically.
I saw that post too. Yeah, I had to chuckle. That's
all
one way
it
to look
took
at it. Oh man.
I just had to say it.
No, hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so playoff predictions. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference. We've been accused of being homers in the past.
What?
If you can believe it. So we're going to start things off in the East tonight, just for those of you who don't really give a shit about the West. We'll be nice guys. We'll do our best TSN impression. Starting with the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins. So we've talked about Boston at length here, guys. But surprisingly, the season series was tied at 2 games apiece between these two clubs. And the odds, these actually are the largest spread between the two. It's minus 320 for Boston, according to DraftKings, and a plus 250 for Florida. Is there any reason really to think that Florida could pull this one out?
Nope. Florida's a speed bump at this point.
Yep.
I think when you're starting Alex Lyon against Boston, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Exactly. Like, if Bobrovsky is as ill as they're saying he is, he's in no shape to start, so they got to go with Lyon, and they're going to light him up like a Christmas tree.
I mean, they would light up Bobrovsky anyway, I'm sure, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Boston's just deep all over.
Even if they
Right?
put Bobrovsky in there, they're still going to, yeah. I think I gave Florida 1 game, and I think that's being generous. This could be one of the few series in the first round that could actually just go 4 games.
It absolutely could. Tyler, I see you've got Bruins in 6. Yeah, that's what I went with, Bruins in 6 as well. The sweep could happen. It's so rare that you see a 4-game sweep.
Well, that's why I said 5 games in mine.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Give him a game.
I guess that I'm being generous.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so are we just giving check marks to Boston in every single area? Offense, defense, goaltending?
Yep.
Check. Okay.
Pretty much.
In terms of playoff pools, any players you're targeting for the Boston Bruins? Great.
Pasternak would be one.
Pasternak, yeah, for sure.
Pasta.
Just the usual guys.
Just the
that
usual.
have been there all year.
Yep. All right. Anyone taking a swing on one of those Florida players? Matthew Tkachuk, maybe?
He might be the only one. Maybe Barkov.
For Hagee? Your boy for Hagee?
Yeah, he'd be a good one for farther down in
Yep.
the draft. Yeah.
For sure. Okay. So there we have it. Florida, Boston. Not going to end well for the Cats.
I don't think so.
Okay, let's move on to Tampa and Toronto. Toronto won the season series 2-1. DraftKings has those odds set at minus 155 for Toronto and plus 135 for Tampa. I've got Tampa taking it in 7 games. And the difference for me, guys, is just goaltending. I think at the end of the day, Vasilevsky is still a far superior goaltender to whoever starts for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yep. I'm not picking Toronto until they actually win a series, and then I will pick them. They got to win one first before I'm picking Toronto over anybody.
Okay. So, Bruce, you and I are on the same page. Tyler and John, you are not. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think?
I think if there was a year for Toronto to do it, it would be this year. I think Tampa's kind of just limped around all year. Kucherov's had a good season, so has Stamkos, but I just think it's time. So they're not what they were, and I think Toronto's probably tired of hearing about it. So
That's fair.
Well, if the Leafs flame out in this one, the Leafs are going to look very different next year. Very different.
Yeah, they're under a ton of pressure here for sure. It's just weird because last year, with Matthews scoring a pile of goals, and the expectations being so high, and then they still flamed out in round one. And it seems like the opposite this year, same opponent, but the expectations are still that they should win this first round series. So I don't know. I'm just, when I look at it, I still think the defense is better in Tampa too. Like, they have the two best defensemen between both clubs in Hedman and Sergachev.
Well, and the funny thing for Toronto is their best defensemen are probably not going to play. Their best defensive as a group happened when all of their veterans were hurt. So they're not going to roll out the kids to play in the playoffs, but they were a better defensive team when they were playing their younger defensemen over their older defensemen. So, besides Giordano, he was probably the only one, but
Yeah, and that guy sucks.
we'll see what happens.
Okay, so I've got the. Sorry,
I'm still taking Toronto in 7. I don't care. I'm with Tyler. It's time.
Okay, so you took Toronto in 7. Tyler, you're taking the Leafs in 6. And then Bruce, you've got Tampa in 6.
They got to show me before I'm picking them in anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still going Tampa in 7 on this one, so that's that. Any picks there we should really be keeping an eye on for playoff pools? Grab your attention there. I think Sergachev.
Kucherov, obviously, points.
Yep. Sergachev is a D-man.
Brandon Hagel.
Yep.
He had a pretty good
there.
season playing up there on the top 2 lines. Vasilevsky as a goalie, obviously.
Okay.
Although if Toronto does win with Samsonov and net, my early season prediction will come true.
Which was?
Dubas's job was saved. Dubas's job will be saved by Samsonov.
You could be right, Bruce.
Basically, it's all on Samsonov, right? If Samsonov wins, Dubas wins. If Samsonov loses, I don't think Dubas is there next year. Not even sure if Samsonov will be back there next year.
Yeah. Yeah, something's got to change, right? If they can't make it out of the first round again, something's going to change. No question.
Yeah. But I have to wait and see what happens.
Okay. I see Tyler's making some contributions to the notes here. That's good. Okay, we're going to move on to the next series here. The New York Islanders versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Guys, is there a more dull first-round matchup this playoffs than the New York Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes?
This one's going to be really boring.
Like, with no Svechnikov, with no Pacioretty, no Barzal, potentially, at least early.
Yeah.
This to me is just going to be an absolute snooze fest. I have no interest in watching this series.
Most of these games are going to be 1-0, and probably half of them are going to go into overtime because neither team shoots a lot and neither team scores a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and both teams have great goaltending in Sorokin and Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, Carolina did win that season series 3-1 quite handedly. DraftKings has them at -205, and they've got the Islanders at +165. I mean, at +165, Tyler, that may be something you put a little sprinkle on just because of Sorokin. Do you think? Is there any chance they steal this series?
They're so boring. I would just completely overlook it. But I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe. I hope not.
But yeah. I'm with you. So, Bruce, Mike took Philly cheesesteaks. So, thanks, Mike, for the contribution on this one, buddy.
Did that go over his head? Did that go over his head, Tyler?
I think so.
Yeah. Obviously, Mike. Yeah. All right. Oh boy.
I can't stop.
No.
It's like the teleprompter.
You just tell him what's on the. Yeah. Obviously, I know that. Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, I got it. But okay, so Bruce, you're the only one that took the Islanders in 7 games here. Boo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're gonna bore each other to death, and someone's gonna score a goal. But it's tight, right? So Carolina doesn't score a lot. The Islanders don't score a lot, and they both have great goaltending. I think it's gonna be a very, very even series. I think the Islanders will find a way. They'll find a way to squeak one out.
Yeah, it'll be a tight checking playoff series, which usually means incredibly boring to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll get back to my notes here. So I got the Canes in 6. Bruce got the Islanders in 7, and then Tyler and John also have the Canes in 6. Okay. Playoff pool wise, really nothing to see here. I guess unless your playoff pool counts wins and then Sorokin somehow manages to get a pile of them or something. But
One of the Ahos.
Yeah, probably the one that plays for Carolina. Okay, let's move on to the Rangers and the Devils. New Jersey actually won the season series 3-1. DraftKings has those odds set at -120 for the Devils and +100 for the Rangers. I think that may be the closest matchup in the first round. And really, I think this one is a toss-up.
I think so.
Like, the difference for me, and the reason I'm taking the Rangers in 7 games, is goaltending. Not that Vanacek's been bad, but I just think in a 7-game playoff series, I'm going to lean Shesterkin ahead of Vanacek. And can we say the defense is probably better for the Rangers as well? Or is that kind of a toss-up too?
I'm going to say that's a toss-up too.
Well, in terms of their defensemen, probably better, but in terms of their forwards, they got Tarasenko and Kane, and neither of them are defensive gems.
No, I'm just looking at some of the numbers here for this series here. So it looks like goals against per game in the regular season, 2.66 for the Rangers and 2.7 for the Devils. So it's very comparable that way.
Yeah.
The offense is similar, 3.4 and 3.3. Power plays are almost the same at 21 and 22%. Penalty kills almost the same at 80 and 82%. Like, I think that this is going to be a really entertaining first round matchup. I think whatever way it goes is going to be it's going to be 7 games in my opinion. But another Philadelphia reference here from Mike, Rocky 5. I'm guessing that was Mike, but not Mike. Tyler. Okay, so I've got Rangers in 7. Tyler, you're taking the Rangers in 6.
I think it's going to be fun to watch, but I think the overall team advantage goes to New York, and I think it's just too early for New Jersey.
Yeah,
and I think their youth will show in some of those closer games, even if they are high scoring. I think it's still going to be New York that comes out on top.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think they've got some pedigree with the Rangers, right? Like, even just having a guy like Patrick Kane in your dressing room come this time of year is important, right? Like, look what it did, like Keith and Edmonton last year, right? That was, those intangibles mean something this time of year sometimes.
Kane can actually play though, so
and that too. Yes, Kane can actually play.
Unlike Keith.
Keith, you know what? He was a
The dude was
serviceable.
trash.
He was a
The
serviceable
dude was trash.
second pairing defenseman.
he was. Yeah, he just didn't have his skates anymore. When you're that size and you can't move like you used to be able to,
Yeah.
you're not as effective. So
Correct.
All right.
I'm still taking Jersey in 7.
You're taking Jersey in 7. So for you, John, what's the difference there?
I like the youth.
The young guns.
They've had a few years under them, and I think they're coming to at the right time, and I think they play exciting hockey. So,
Okay. Well, and this is the team that finished higher in the standings this season, right? So, and they've had New York's number this regular season. So, yeah.
yep.
Okay. Bruce, you've got Devils in question mark.
I haven't decided whether it's 6 or 7.
Oh, I thought he was going to say sweep.
No, originally when I first looked at this, I kind of thought that way. Because here's how I look at it. All the pressure's on the Rangers. The Devils have no pressure on them. None. These kids aren't even supposed to be here. Like, they weren't supposed to make the playoffs this year. And the Rangers are supposed to be winning everything. So all the pressure's on the Rangers.
For sure it is.
So I like the kids in this one because, if mistakes start happening on the Rangers side, they're going to get snowed under. If the mistakes happen on the Devils side, well, what do you expect? These guys weren't supposed to be here in the first place. Like, everything's on the Rangers here. So I think it's going to be the Devils in the end.
I just think if that happens, New York has the guys on the team to stop the bleeding and get back. And
that's my other concern about the Rangers. They went out and they traded for Tarasenko and Kane. Like, neither of them can play defense. That was because that's the biggest knock against Kane, right? During their runs, they had to shelter him because he couldn't defend. He's not any younger than he was when he broke into the league. Tarasenko was never a stellar defender either.
I'll take that goaltending matchup any day, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they need Shesterkin back there, because they need someone to stop the puck.
But you know what? Kane's been a playoff performer his entire
Well, he
career.
can score, but he can't defend.
That's okay though, right? You don't need to put him in the defensive zone. You just have 65% offensive zone starts for Kane. Put him out there with Kreider and Zibanejad. Let him pot a few goals. Put him out there when it matters, and then put your defensive guys on the ice. But that kid line's been doing really well for them, right? Put out Filipino in the defensive zone. I like their
kid line
decor.
carried them last year.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think guys like Tarasenko and Kane can be the difference in a series too. Like, having that kind of offensive depth matters too.
It does, but we'll see what happens, right?
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I still think New York in 7, but and then Filipino. So if we're talking about playoff pools, playoff drafts, I think a guy like Filipino can make a real difference at that time of year. I don't think he's as widely known amongst the average fan still.
They should watch last year's playoffs then for the Rangers.
And maybe they didn't. Or didn't pay attention very closely, right? So I think that's a guy I'd look at.
Absolutely.
Who else? Dawson Mercer. I think Dawson Mercer for the Devils, if you're looking for kind of a... Well, he was hot down the stretch. Like, I don't know his point totals off the top of my head here, but he did really, really well the last couple months of the season. And he was getting top-line deployment, too, at times. So that's a guy I'm going to take a look at.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else for that series, guys? Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Then, as a member of the Hockey Podcast Network, the Fantasy Hockey X Podcast is a proud partner of DraftKings. From tees to green, the best place to get in on all the action happening on the links is DraftKings Sportsbook. This week, new customers will receive an odds boost to add plus 1,000 to any pre-tournament wager up to $10 on any golfer to win. So, for example, if you are a new customer and you see a golfer to win the tournament at plus 1,000 odds, DraftKings will boost that golfer to plus 2,000 odds for your shot at a bigger payout. DraftKings will be featuring parlays and odds boosts all tournament long, so be sure to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day before the tournament starts to see what they have in store. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code THPN, and boost your odds during this weekend's tournament. That's promo code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook. And Tyler, that wasn't near long enough for you to go grab a drink, my friend.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah. I know it pains you so.
It does. I'm going to save that last margarita for right after we finish this.
All right, fair enough.
I do have one thing to add off the Eastern Conference thing.
Yes.
I thought
Interesting note.
I thought you were going to talk
The
about
Washington
margaritas.
Capitals that are not in the playoffs, The two goalies they jettisoned in the offseason are now starting in the playoffs for Toronto and New Jersey.
They are.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were the issue in Washington.
I didn't think so either. But
I
don't
thought they
think
would have kept one of those guys.
I just
Yeah,
think
for
they
sure.
couldn't pick, and they
no.
blew it up instead.
I think I would have been inclined to keep Vanacek just based on some of the rumors we'd been hearing about Samsonov and some of his antics around the team. So I would have shipped him out just because he sounded like he was a bit difficult to be around. But Vanacek's been fine this year. Like,
Because you look at it, so Vanacek basically is the goalie for Jersey, right?
mm-hmm.
And Samsonov has to have been because Murray's been hurt and they didn't want to use Wall as a primary goalie. But if both these guys do well in the playoffs, cement their starter positions with their two teams, that's a big miss by Washington. Big miss.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what those discussions were internally that led to that decision. But okay, on to the Western Conference, starting with the Seattle Kraken against the Colorado Avalanche. Regular season series, actually, Seattle won 2-1. And I think the games were actually close, which is surprising. I know Colorado's dealt with some injuries this season, particularly being without Gabe Landeskog for the entirety of the season. But so Colorado is at minus 260 according to DraftKings, and Seattle's at plus 210. And I think that might be the biggest gap after Boston and Florida. So yeah, I've got Colorado in 6 here. I think the Kraken will actually make it a bit of a series. I think offensively they've been better than I've expected this year, and defensively, I don't think they're awful, but it's just the goaltending, right? I don't think like Grubauer's been inconsistent. Martin Jones has not been great. I did hear someone say that he's got a .917 save percentage in the postseason. I'm not leading on Martin Jones. And against Colorado, I'm not really sure it matters whether it's Grubauer or Martin Jones. But anyway, what do you guys think? I've got I've Avs in 6. Bruce, you've got Avs in 6.
Yeah, my concern, like you said, it's the goaltending in Seattle. Which version of which goalie is going to show up? That's the team in front of the goalie. I think they've got the depth to go to Colorado because Colorado doesn't have the depth they had last year. If I got to pick between Georgiev and the Seattle goaltenders, I'd take Georgiev right now.
Okay. I'll mention a couple of things here too. So Colorado's power play at 25%. Seattle's got a penalty kill at 75% of the season. And they're giving up 3.149 goals per game. Colorado's putting up 3.2 goals per game. So, yeah, defensively, I think they may have some issues, some struggles against the Avs and the goaltending. And then, John, Tyler, you guys are even less optimistic for the Kraken at 5 games.
Yeah, I think they might make the games frustrating for Colorado, but I still think they're going to come on the wrong side of it after all of them, except maybe one overtime win.
Kind of like what St. Louis did to them last year.
Yeah, it's the only way that they have a chance is just to be frustrating.
Yeah. Okay, I can buy that. John, anything to add? Your microphone is off, sir.
Oopsies.
The mute button's going on the list next week.
No, maybe I should. I almost called this one a sweep. I'm giving them 1 just because I don't think it's going to be close. Yes, Seattle will be annoying. There'll be a thorn in the side, but I don't see a whole lot coming out of it for them.
I just think that they've surprised everybody all year. Seattle. They just have been right there basically since the start of the season.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're just going to lay over for Colorado, who's not what they were last year. They're not going to walk through anybody this year. So I think it's going to be frustrating losses for Seattle. 1-goal losses all the way through it. So
I can buy that for sure. Okay. In terms of playoff pools, I mean, there's lots to choose from in Colorado. I can see a lot of guys, McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, all going. I think a guy like Girard could put up some offense potentially at a lower price point, and same with Sammy Girard, JT Compher, Lehkonen, and then Seattle. I mean, I'm probably just going to fade completely because, as we said, they're not getting past this first round. So, okay, let's move on to the next series here: Minnesota against the Dallas Stars. This one was a somewhat tight season series. We'll tied at 2 games apiece. DraftKings odds has Dallas at -140 and Minnesota at +120. I've got Dallas in 5. I'm just not that high on Minnesota. I've never really been that high on Minnesota. Maybe I just still view them as that team from the early 2000s that's terribly boring to watch and doesn't do anything. But I know they've got some weapons here. So, Bruce, I'll go to you first because I know you like players from both sides of this one. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm taking Dallas in 6 in this, and for me, it boils down to the goaltending. I think Ottinger will outduo Gustafsson or Fleury in this case because Fleury's look very human this year. Gustafsson's looked great, but he's never played in the playoffs.
Right.
And Ottinger stood on his head last year versus the Flames and just about stole the series for him last year. And I think Dallas has got a better team this year going into the playoffs than they had last year.
They're definitely more confident than they were last year. Like that was a team against Calgary that nobody picked to win, right? They had no business beating Calgary.
No, exactly.
And now this year, like they look like a really tough out. I just don't think. Yeah, I agree with you, Bruce. I think goaltending is gonna be the difference there. Guys like Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, Heiskanen's having a phenomenal year. I don't see a scenario where Minnesota comes out of this one, but I
don't either. I'm a fan of Minnesota.
Yeah. So I'll contrast that. And I'll go to you, Tyler. So Tyler, you've got Minnesota in 7. You got to explain to me why.
I don't think it's a good matchup for Dallas. I don't think they play as physical as they have in the past. And on the other side, Minnesota can play a heavy game even if they don't have the scoring that Dallas has, which translates well in the playoffs. Fleury hasn't been Fleury all year, but playoff Fleury is a different Fleury. So, I mean, Ottinger had like a series for the ages last year, and could he repeat it? Probably. But even looking at that, like Calgary wasn't that good of a team, and that was the only reason why Dallas was even close there. So I just don't think it's a good matchup for Dallas. I don't think that Minnesota's going to let them play the way they want to play. And I think Minnesota comes out on top.
Okay. I just wanted to pull up Fleury's postseason numbers here. According to NHL.com, he's got a 2.54 goals against average and a 912 save percentage. So pretty solid numbers from Fleury.
I think more than that, too, is the timing of his saves. The playoffs, it makes a huge difference.
Was it Game 7 against Detroit, right? That one? It's pretty timely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stops like those.
So, yeah, those are important.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
I just think Minnesota can play kind of any way you want to play, but be physical at it. And I don't think Dallas in years past was set up that way. They were big and they were fast, and they're not quite as big and not quite as fast. They have a little bit more finesse and a little bit more scoring, but I don't know that that's going to translate into a playoff series. So,
yeah, those are valid points for sure. I was looking at Dallas has a plus 67 goal differential though. Like I feel like if Ottinger plays the way he can, they could probably still win some close scoring games. But damn it, Tyler, you make some valid points too. So
sorry about
All right. John, anything to add? You got Dallas in 6.
Nothing real to add there. I like Fleury, but I just don't know. I don't have a good feeling about these playoffs for him. So no, I don't know. This series doesn't interest me a whole lot. Just because the guys on Dallas that I like, they're not who they used to be.
You're probably talking about Sagan and Ben?
I'm talking about Sagan
Okay.
specifically because I don't like Ben because he's a knob, but
Just don't like the guy.
yeah, it's true. But I guess Jason Robertson makes up for that.
He sure does.
But
Jamie Benn.
no,
Go ahead.
I don't know. I didn't know who to pick in this one. I'm saying Dallas in 6. I would love to see Minnie come out of this one, just for Fleury. That's it. That's all. But I just don't feel that they have the rest of the team there for him. And honestly, Fleury's 37, 38. He's not what he used to be either. So if he is the one that plays, I don't think he's going to do great.
I wouldn't. They're gonna start him. I think. Hey, Fleury will start this series. I'm not convinced he'll finish it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got-
you saw Vegas flashbacks all over again.
Well, it's mostly just how good Gustafson's been this year. I think he's earned a playoff start.
Mostly just at home, though.
So start him at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's been fantastic for him, even if it is just at home. Okay.
Zero playoff game experience, too.
Also a valid
there's
point.
that.
A valid point. Let's move on to the Jets and the Golden Knights. Winnipeg, of course, clinching a playoff spot with 2 games left. 3, maybe? Not much. They kind of limped into the playoffs here. I think mostly just because Calgary was so bad. Calgary had every opportunity to get a playoff spot this year.
They have to get rid of the Bettman point because
Yep.
they had to have led. I don't know what the stats are, but they had to have been close to leading the league in overtime losses. I think it was 16 or 17. Which is
17.
pathetic.
17, Tyler. Yep.
Which is
They
pathetic.
did lead the league in it.
Yeah. You could almost, like, if you went to overtime, you could jump onto whatever betting site you wanted to, or whichever one we're sponsored by, and make a bet that they were going to lose in overtime. And they shouldn't have even been close to the playoffs because of that. That's the only reason why they were.
Yeah, I agree.
17 points. Where's 17 points less leave them?
That's quick math. Don't ask me that, but that's
Like
not good.
fighting with Anaheim.
Maybe not that bad, but they're definitely out of the playoff picture for sure. No question.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to this Winnipeg Vegas series, Vegas won that season series 3-0. DraftKings odds has Vegas at -170 and Winnipeg at +140. I'm actually initially I was going to take Vegas. I'm actually taking Winnipeg in 7 here, and just because of goaltending, I still think Connor Hellebuyck in goal, as opposed to whoever the hell they decide to put in net in Vegas that night, whether it's the Laurent Brossoit, Jonathan Quick, Logan Thompson. Is Logan Thompson even healthy now? Like I just they've got a rotation of goalies, and I don't think any of them even come close to Hellebuyck, right?
Yeah, Thompson's not even skating yet.
I think if you look at it too, with like Winnipeg's season has been like split into 3 seasons. The start till January, where they were like top 5 in the league,
Yeah.
and then from January to mid-March, where they were like
Dog shit.
the bottom of the league,
Mm-hmm.
to like the last couple of weeks getting into the playoffs. You really just kind of want to peak at the right time. I don't think that they've peaked. They are playing better, but there was times where you would watch them in March, and like Blake Wheeler and Scheifele did nothing. They coughed the puck up all over the place.
Yeah.
Didn't score any goals, and they were atrocious. But this is one matchup where I wouldn't want to play Winnipeg coming into the playoffs based on what they did for almost 2/3 of the season.
That's fair. And the pressure's on Vegas in this one too, right? Like,
Absolutely.
And
Like
I don't even know how Vegas has been at the top of the conference or top of the division for the entire year, because there's nothing there that like makes me think that this is a really good team. This is a scary team to go up against.
Nothing about them makes sense.
It doesn't. Like, yeah, they have Pietrangelo. Yeah, they have Eichel. Yeah, they've got a decent second line. They've had goaltenders that have come in and out and somehow had decent numbers, all 10 of them.
yep.
But I think it's going to be an easier, like I have them in 7, but I think it's going to be an easier series than that for Winnipeg.
They had the 18th ranked power play too, by the way, like just over 20%. Their power play's not good.
It's weird. I have no idea.
The
Vegas' power play has never been good, though.
No, it hasn't. But I'm just saying, like, you know, when you get those opportunities, they matter. And I think it was Frank Saravelli on another podcast was talking about how there's a direct correlation to Stanley Cups and power play success.
We got it.
I didn't hear that, but that sounds good.
I'm just, well, he said it's on the record, and I'm just floating it out there. So the power play is important, and if you don't have it, you don't have it. So
The other thing too is I think it was Jason Greger that was talking about power play opportunities in the playoffs compared to the regular season, and how it's perceived that there's fewer power plays and way more missed calls in the playoffs. Last year, Edmonton actually had, just because we're specifically talking about Edmonton for a second, they had more power plays in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. So, as well as a bunch of other teams, it wasn't a lot, but it was still more power plays per game. And I think it kind of boils down to being so much more amped up to watch the playoffs games.
yeah,
And every little thing that happens, you think it's a missed call. If you actually look back at it, over the past 6 years, there's actually been more power plays in the playoffs than in the regular season. Which is interesting for teams
that
like
is actually.
Edmonton.
Because I,
Or
like most
anybody
people,
else.
No, but I mean, I was of the mindset that there were fewer calls in the postseason.
Yeah, there's actually more power plays in the playoffs.
Okay. You heard it here first. Thanks, Tyler.
Well, second, Jason Greger said it. But on the
Okay,
radio.
so yeah, you heard it second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it here first. So,
Yeah.
so I've got Winnipeg in 7. Tyler's got Winnipeg in 7. Mike once worked in porn.
Oh my god!
What? Who put that on the teleprompter?
You were supposed to read that.
And there goes the sponsorship right out the window.
Yeah. Whoops.
Hey, you
Okay.
better send him an email.
Bruce, you've also got the Jets in 7. And then, John, out of left field, you're taking Vegas in 6. Why?
I'm taking Vegas in 6 because that Jets team sucks. I don't like it. I like Josh Morrissey. Hellebuck's all right. Not a fan of the rest of the team.
You like Josh Morrissey?
Yeah.
Like him?
You mean
No,
you like
like,
him this season? Like you like him this season because he put up almost 100 points?
No, I like him as a player. He's great.
Yuck.
Okay.
You guys like Duncan Keith. Like, come on.
I didn't like him.
All right. That will just about do it for that. Let's move on to the series that the four of us actually care about. So call us homers all you want, but here we go. LA and Edmonton. God, do I hate LA so much. I actually almost put them on the list this week, John. The LA fans, just because they're really whiny. And they're standing up for Mike Anderson, which I just don't understand.
Who stands up for that guy?
The Los
He's
Angeles
ugly,
Kings
too.
fan base.
What a bunch of losers.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
You on this podcast, you absolutely can.
Losers.
We can say whatever we want.
Getting back to the series here, we
boy.
got it kind of was a tale of two seasons for Edmonton, right? I mean, and we have been a second half team the last couple of years here for sure. Series was tied 2-2, keeping in mind that we didn't have Evander Kane in the first two games we played against LA. I think Jack Campbell was probably still the starting goaltender in Edmonton for those two games. No Matthias Ekholm, no Bukestad. The bottom six hadn't warmed up yet, so things looked a lot different. DraftKings odds has Edmonton at minus 250 and LA at plus 200. So that, I believe, is the third largest difference or spread between the two teams after Boston and Florida and Colorado and Vegas. So I was actually surprised that that the bookies, Tyler, had Edmonton favored as heavily as they do.
I'm surprised too, and I hate LA.
Yep.
But I mean, Edmonton won last year with LA not having Drew Doughty or Arvidsson or Fiala or an extra year for some of the other guys. I think it's going to be a war, but I still think Edmonton comes out in 6 because Edmonton's a better team than they were last year as well. And I think it's, when you said 2 different seasons for Edmonton, I think it's pre-trade deadline and post-trade deadline, 2 different seasons. Ekholm changes everything. Skinner's just calm and cool in net. No playoff experience, but like for some goalies, I don't know that matters. And I think if there was a goalie that it didn't matter for, it would be him. A little bit worried about the Korpisalo effect after watching him.
That's if they start him. We'd have no idea who their starting goalie is going to be.
I think it'll be Korpisalo, probably just based off of what he did to Tampa Bay. I know it was years ago, but
no, I agree with that too.
Teams think about that. Yeah, teams remember that. Teams think about that. Teams trade just for that.
Well, and wasn't it Korpisalo that shut down the Oilers in that game against Columbus a couple like before the deadline?
Yeah.
So he may be in their heads a little bit, but I mean, Edmonton also just beat them twice recently, right? So
yeah,
and once was Korpisalo and once was Copley. So
and Fiala probably isn't going to start the series. Doughty is playing, but maybe not 100% healthy. Gabe Velarde
is also not starting, right? I mean,
whatever that means for them. They still do have the 2 best centers to match up with Edmonton, probably in the entire league with Danault and Kopitar, if you want to split up Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yep.
But I'm ready for it to start.
I'm anxious. I'll be honest. Like I think Edmonton wins this series, so I've got Edmonton in 7. But I think I agree with you, Tyler. It's going to be a tough series, a war, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be nothing's going to come easy, right? And the Kings are such a good shot suppression team, and McClellan knows how to play the Oilers. He's been in their heads. The two teams hate each other. Like it's just going to be. I just really don't want them to lose. Like this feels like the season for Edmonton to do it. But they got to get past LA. I think if they get past LA in this first round, they're going to be fine.
I think LA is going to be their toughest opponent before the Cup final.
Yeah.
I don't think Colorado is going to be. I don't think Winnipeg will be. It'll be LA. And once they get past them, I think it'll be a lot easier the rest of the way.
Yeah.
With whoever is left after the series. Whoever gets horse-collared and their ankles broken. Whoever's left.
Whoever's left, yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, we should mention. I mean, Draisaitl is going to be, hopefully, on 2 healthy legs for the entire series. They are deeper. Like that bottom 6, I don't know. Edmonton's played so well. Does it really matter who they played in this first round? I don't think Edmonton cared. Like, you talked about peaking at the right time, Tyler. Has Edmonton peaked at the right time?
Yeah. It's a little bit worrisome, like winning 9 in a row going into the playoffs. There's been, I think there was one team that's won the Cup in like the last 40 years that has been on a winning streak of 9 or more games going into the playoffs. 3 out of the 4 teams that had lost in the second round. So none of them lost in the first round. So there's that. But I think it's tough because you go through it. It's a whole new season. Everything kind of resets. So I don't know how much of it matters. Yeah, you feel good about your game, but once you get into a playoff series, everything's different.
Yeah. Yeah, seeding doesn't matter anymore. It's like the regular season doesn't matter. Yeah, it'll be interesting. So it looks like I'm the only one that took Edmonton in 7. The rest of you guys took the Oilers in 6. You guys are all pretty confident. So, Bruce, John, anything you want to add there?
The way the Oilers are playing, I think they're the team to beat. And
Yeah,
so
they stick to their game plan. Definitely.
yeah, with that kind of firepower and the way they've come together defensively, I like the way this team's shaping up to be, and things look good going forward.
For what it's worth, Jamal Mayers today on Sirius XM had Edmonton and Toronto playing in the Cup final and Edmonton winning it. So that would be pretty wild if
That would
actually
be,
happened.
yeah.
That would be wild.
The country might shut down.
It might. The
might.
country might actually shut down.
Half the country just deliriously happy, and the other half not so much.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Milt was telling me. He said that's what he was hoping for too. Edmonton Toronto final and Edmonton in Game 7 overtime.
Triple overtime.
Triple overtime. Yeah.
McDavid.
Ooh, there you go.
Scores.
Oh God. I would not be going to work the next day. I'll just say that right now.
Me neither. Or ever again.
Okay, and then I should mention here, Mike did add Oilers are the best team I've ever seen. I love them so much. Vikings, statistically superior. Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that.
Great
Mike is
input as usual.
He's been on point tonight. Let me tell you, that guy. All right. Okay, well, I got nothing else, guys. Like I said, pretty casual episode. That's kind of how we see things here at the Hacks podcast. But I guess that's gonna be it for now. We're gonna take a bit of a break. We'll probably be back just shortly after the draft lottery on May 8th. We'll talk a little bit about where Bedard lands and what that may look for his fantasy outlook next season. And then we'll go from there. We'll probably do some more playoff stuff at some point too. But it's been fun, guys. It's been a good regular season. Thanks for everything.
Yep.
For our listeners, if you want to get in touch with us, at FHHacks on Twitter, that is where we are most active. Or send us an email, fantasyhockeyhacks@gmail.com. Let's go, Oilers. That's all I got. We'll see you boys in a few weeks here.
Sounds
You're
good.
such a homer.
Bye, Felicia.
Take care.